Welcome. This is a recorded session of the Post-Quantum Cryptography Conference of the PKI Consortium, which took place in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. This conference is made possible through the support of the PKI Consortium Post-Quantum Cryptography Working Group and our sponsors SSL.com, Entrust, Keyfactor, HID, and Crypto4A. And with exceptional organizational support from SSL.com, Keyfactor, Logius, POS Digicert, Baker Tilly, MSC Trustgate, and Digitoris. Join the discussion. Join the PKI Consortium. Go to pkic.org/join.
So we started today's conversation by looking at the application of PQC to car charging networks. We just had an in-depth conversation about the application of KQD and integration of PKI and the emergence of PQC into QKD networks. We're now going to pivot, and we're going to talk about blockchain and applying resiliency methods and techniques to secure blockchain from advanced quantum threats. And joining us, and I find this, as I mentioned to Bill, a kind of interesting conversation. So Bill Gee, or William Gee, who's a senior advisor to 101 Quantum Inc. and vice chair of the Asia PKI Consortium, is going to be hosting this conversation. What I find most interesting about Bill is that he's actually a chartered accountant, yet he's managed to find his way deeply into this subject. I'll let him explain the rationale and the effort that he's undertaking, so I won't waste his time on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, William Gee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, chartered accountant. Somehow I find myself getting into emerging technology after I qualified, and it's been, a very interesting journey. So for the past 20 years, I've been looking at different types of technology, got into blockchain around 2014. And then obviously comes quantum, the quantum threat. So I'm advisor to 01 Quantum, and we've been in the cybersecurity business for many, many years, and have done many research on this. About 3 or 4 years ago, we started looking and trying to crack ask ourselves, what about cryptocurrencies? What about blockchains? Would it actually be subject to quantum threat? And obviously the answer is yes. And so I'm just going to share with you. Now, this is actually nothing new or surprising to you. The technology in terms of quantum research really has picking up pace. A lot of advances within the last 2 years. And I remember when I first started looking into this field, people asked the question, when is Q-Day, going to hit us? And we talk about maybe 10, 15 years. And then that time frame shortened, and over the last few days, we're looking at maybe 5 years, maybe shorter. And so Q-Day is approaching, and we need to actually respond to that, And so we got into crypto or virtual assets. Bitcoin, as a white paper, was published around 1998. So 1999, around about 2000, that was into the new millennium. Interestingly, when I got into public key infrastructure, it was about 1997, 98. That was when Hong Kong was looking to enact digital signature law. So, interesting timing. Around about the same time. And within the past few years, people are coming to recognize that the quantum threat will, in fact, impact cryptocurrencies, blockchain architecture. We have looked at many of the white papers on blockchain design. And ECC definitely is, basically used in almost all blockchain. Even for the so-called permission blockchain, or in a more general term, private blockchains. they are using similar technologies. Initially, we did an exercise a few years back, and we thought, well, should be easy, right? It's a bit like, on one of these server racks, you just take something out and slot something in. It should be quick. So can we actually get ECC out and then slot in a quantum secure cryptographic algorithm, and everything would be running okay? And we found it wasn't as simple as that, because a lot of the parameters, details, are actually hard-coded into the blockchain code, making it's difficult to just simply switching your algorithm. And what's more, because of the difference in key size and all the other related aspects, it impacts on the structure of the data getting to the block. So you have block size issue, you have the time you need to compute, so it actually impacts on performance. Most importantly, gas fees, because everything is bigger. You need to actually get a higher gas fee, and so there's a lot of these related complication that makes a direct switch most difficult. So we are thinking, well, is there another way of actually getting this done? And what are the kind of discussions from the community? Because they are the stakeholders, they need to be aware of that, and so what are the discussions? So far, Bitcoin and Ethereum, if you look up these references, there are discussions on making the blockchain quantum resistant. Now, there's a trick there. These improvement proposals are still at proposal phase. And because of the nature of blockchain being decentralized, there is actually no central governance board to say, yeah, we'll go and upgrade on such a date, and so on. So it's all down to consensus. It's up to the contributing community, miners and the validators, to say, yep, I'll adopt this looks good. And what happened then? You actually need a hard fork to make things happen. And going for a hard fork is actually quite tricky in terms of timing, in terms of complexity. Nothing technical. The technology side will look after itself. But what happened when you do a hard fork is you create something else. So the last time Bitcoin had a hard fork, the other side became Bitcoin Cash, which is a different cryptocurrency. So the question was, if a chain, be that Bitcoin or Ethereum or so on, happens to go for a hard fork, will that crypto, would it remain the same? So today, Bitcoin price, as an example, over 100,000 US, and if a hard fork happens, and you have a quantum secure, a fork going for the future, do you call that Bitcoin, or will the old coin remain as Bitcoin and give it a new name? And what's the price going to be? And we know for a fact that around 20-25% of the wallets, people have lost the key. So we have crypto assets on all the chain that are no longer recoverable. So on individual blockchain platforms, depending on the design, Bitcoin is 21 million maximum. The entire kind of logic will be impacted. You will not have 21 million Bitcoin when you do end up with a hard fork, and so all the kind of dynamics will change. And what happened to those wallets where people have lost their keys or forgot their password. How are they going to kind of continue to use these chains, to use the coin? And on one of the proposals, it was saying, we need to have a cutoff day. Beyond that day, the old coins will no longer be able to be used. So there are other issues, non-technical, but there are other issues impacting the future of a cryptocurrency platform. So these are some of the complications. I actually look at, over the last few days preparing for this seminar, looking at search for other PQC proposals on some of the other blockchain. I couldn't find any. If you are aware of any initiatives, please do let me know. So what are the ways to solve this? Well, we can actually create a new blockchain that is quantum secure. It is decentralized, but in terms of timing, in terms of adoption and the user experience, it's new, so you do not have an ecosystem, so that doesn't quite work. You can actually use a bridging architecture to that, but chances are, it will kind of take away some of the decentralization aspects. You need to rely on someone, on one centralized organization to actually maintain the bridge, et cetera, and so one of the most recent one that we kind of work with Q Labs is to say, well, can we actually do something on the wallet side? And the interesting part is actually hitting the wallet, because a few years ago, being an auditor, I actually audited a cryptocurrency platform. And one of the things as an audit procedure we have to do is to verify the addresses and the wallet balances and so on. So I actually work with a team, of my staff and some technical support to build a validation tool. And we need to build something that can actually support all the wallets, different wallet types on different chain. So the wallet side is actually quite interesting. You can actually do something along those lines. So what we did there was to say, given the cryptocurrency, market cap right now is about 4 trillion, let's address that by looking at the wallet, having a wallet that is able to support quantum resistant algorithm and hence able to create a quantum resistant key pair. Now, we are not going to touch the existing blockchain because touching that is going to be tricky. So what we end up trying to do was to layer a extra pair of signature using quantum proof algorithm. So you end up have two signature. The quantum resistant signature, we then code it using zero knowledge proof, and we load the proof onto the transaction, and it get into the blockchain as part of the transaction. So the footprint there is actually quite small. That wouldn't kind of complicate the original blockchain. It wouldn't need, didn't impact the block size and so on. So what we need to do is, however, is to tell the validator, you need to validate that quantum proof, ZKP proof as well. So that becomes a smart contract that we need to send to the, make the validator be aware of. And so with that approach, we are hoping to kind of get around the problem of actually touching the chain. So that was, very successful in terms of getting around that issue. So we are in the process of patenting that particular approach. But it's actually not just about the technology side, because there are other broader issues. You do actually have a lot of the smart contracts that are currently running on the blockchain. So what happened then? We are going for, there's a lot of layer 2 protocols just to kind of address the transaction processing limitation on the layer 1 chains. How are we going to address the layer 2 protocols, the wallets, and how we need to kind of remap transactions and so on. And then the wallets where people have lost their keys? How do we address it? So there are a lot of other complications, and the beauty of kind of avoiding touching the main chain and addressing the wallet becomes a very interesting angle. So we are hopeful to actually take that approach because it then becomes blockchain agnostic. You can actually apply that on all the different types of blockchains. You may say, well, 4 trillion in terms of virtual asset. Well, there are also, there's a lot more because you have stable coins, you have CBDCs, and so on. So I actually did a study on some of the CBDC design because there are many central banks looking into this. Some central banks have published design reports on their digital currency. So rather than reading through the entire document, I just do a search on PDF with the word quantum. Guess what? Could not find anything. There is a lot of discussion on cybersecurity, protecting the consumer, protecting users, etc., but no mention of quantum. So there is one CBDC already in circulation. It was launched back in 2022 or 23, and no mention of quantum safe. And then there's another one which is about to be launched later this year. Again, no mention in the design paper. So, makes me thinking. And I thought, well, okay, apart from CBDC, there's also stable coins. There's a lot of talk on stable coins these days, and the value is actually quite high. Now, stable coins are created and minted on existing blockchains. So USDT, Tether, and USDC Circle are minted and supported on over 20 different blockchains, from your Ethereum to Polygon, Algorand, and so on. Some of the names, you may not really have are familiar with. So it's not about making the stablecoin quantum secure, it's making the underlying blockchain quantum secure. And if your stablecoin is issued on, say, 28 different blockchain platforms, getting to a quantum safe state becomes even more tricky. And so it really, when you think about it, fixing the blockchain platforms is not going to work. Certainly not within the time frame that we are talking about, within 3 to 5 years. And even if you extend it to 2030 and 35, it is still pretty challenging because of the participation or the kind of different ecosystem players. And so that's why we decided that let's focus on the wallet side, and can we actually get the wallet and use that, leverage that to lead us to a state where we can actually have quantum safe crypto assets. So one of the things that we are doing is to continue looking into the zero knowledge proof validation protocol, trying to kind of get it done more efficiently, and we are working with Hyperliquid on that exercise, and we are looking to kind of continue our work to look at quantum resistant wallet, looking at APIs and SDKs to actually help the community to actually get there. Token obviously is another aspect. If you want to kind of go the full, the whole way, full 9 yards, so to speak, you actually have to look at not just the blockchain, but also how the token are kind of structured and managed. So that side we are doing. Bridge infrastructure again is sort of in the works, and we are kind of hoping that we can get some of these exercises ready end of this year, early next year, to continue the kind of proof of concept and pilot, and then next year, looking to support Hyperliquid on some of the other initiatives in that area. One other thing that Hong Kong if you are in this virtual asset space, you will know that the Hong Kong government is supportive of crypto assets, virtual assets. Not China. Mainland China still bans cryptocurrency, but Hong Kong supports it. And then there are, a couple of blockchain kind of blueprint white paper on the development. And there in those documents, guess what? There is a mention of post-quantum, but it was a one-liner. Thou shalt consider, quantum resistance, etc. And that's it. So if you think about it, early in August, there's a new law that we enacted on stablecoins. The focus is on consumer protection, investor protection. So regulation, minimum capital, custody requirements, and so on, less so on the technical side. So again, it makes me worried. We are going to have a new law on virtual asset custody. That's in the works, should be enacted sometime next year. I looked through the initial draft. Again, no specific mention on technology. It talks about wallet. You should have safe wallet and so on, but it doesn't explicitly talk about you have to have a quantum safe wallet, etc. So again, it leaves something, and it's not surprising because traditional regulators, be that on the security side, stock exchange side, or on the banking regulators, virtual asset is still pretty new to them, and the complication of that is difficult. Now, today I was, thinking of opening the this session by saying, I give a disclaimer first, I do not own any cryptocurrency, this is not investment advice, and so on, because the moment you talk about this, people are scared. So we talk about FUD in the crypto world, FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. Now, it's going to crash, it's going to be broken, it's going to kind of implicate the underlying trust of the blockchain, and therefore the value of the crypto asset. Whoa, should I sell? It actually has an impact on the price. People don't talk about it, and you rarely heard people talking about it in the virtual asset space, the so-called Web3 space. Asset tokenization, so RWA tokenization is great, but you don't hear them talking about making everything quantum safe. But in the cybersecurity field, in the critical infrastructure field, talk about we have to look at quantum resistance and so on. And people are talking about it. That is the difference. You look at we have heard some central bank representatives speaking about quantum, the need to actually move to a quantum secure infrastructure. Payment service providers are looking at that. It's all in the media, but the earlier improvement proposals that I showed you on Bitcoin and Ethereum is actually do not get a lot of publicity, and so that is the current kind of situation kind of concerning the virtual asset space, and it's something that as a community, again, we want to kind of support and work with. Given it is an emerging sector, is it going to be just a bubble, or is it sustainable? Let's not talk about that today. But as an emerging sector, and more money are going into that particular sector, and it's something that we have to address. So we are working closely with everyone to address it. There are some other